This time I would ask you to please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to those of you joining us from home and to those of you for being here. Yeah, I think I noticed that during the pledge. I'm like, someone's going to trip over that, but I think it's so that they don't trip over the cord. Is there any public participation at this time? Just if you could take the microphone, Charlie, just introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Charlie King. As most of the board members know, I did send every board member and Diane Donato a letter. I'll just read the header. Dear members of the Farmington School Board, I'm writing this letter to request that I be appointed to fill the empty school board position. As you know, I ran for school board this past March for that seat that Mrs. Cardinal has now vacated. Approximately 4.5 months ago, I placed third out of 4 candidates on the ballot. The totals being Angie Cardinal, 340, Joel Shagnon, 330, Charlie King, 202, W. Morgan, 98. I feel that my contribution to the town of Farmington, through all the boards that I've sat on, is a good representation of my dedication to the town of Farmington, and I hopefully you consider my request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did. I didn't realize you'd sent it to all the boards, so I forwarded everybody. They're like, "Oh, we already got it." I said, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know." So, thank you, Mr. King. Other members of the public? Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jimmy Bork. I am a Farmington resident and a parent of 2 daughters in the school system. I had a few concerns and questions. My first one being, I had heard that the investigation was over or close to being over, and I was wondering if you had any results from that could be shared. And if not, at this time, I wanted to know when it could be shared to the public.
Sure. I had a resident actually ask me that today through a correspondence. It is the investigation that we hired MRI to do is complete. We received a report. We've given that report to our attorneys, and there will be some decisions that are going to be made as a result of the results of the report. I don't know if I don't think the report in its entirety will be released because there's some reputation sort of stuff in there that we may not be able to release. But our attorney, I just had a conversation with her this afternoon, is basically going to put together a synopsis of what the outcomes were and then what the plan moving forward is.
And that's going to be released to the public as far as...
That certainly will be,
Okay.
yes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My second concern and question, I noticed that the principal and assistant principal jobs at Henry Wilson are vacated and available. Where there's such a short amount of time to the new school year, my concern is that the hiring process is going to be sped up and someone's just going to be thrown into that job. I have a daughter, my wife and I have a daughter in Henry Wilson. And I just wanted to make sure that the right steps are being taken to make sure we have the most qualified people in those positions, instead of just throwing someone in there quick to get them in there in time for the school year. And also, where it's both the principal and the assistant principal that you're filling, finding 2 people that are going to work well together, that are going to be able to improve on, what was being done there. So there are some concerns with that, and I just want to know if you could share the process and to make sure that the right process is being done so that we have, good leadership there. Because with both a principal and assistant principal, that's your whole leadership of the school.
Yeah.
So it's very concerning to me.
It was concerning to us.
Yeah.
I'll let Ms. Donato follow up as well because she organized the process. We have candidates coming before us tonight. Finalist candidates are all coming before us for both positions this evening. As you'll notice, the gender is fairly short, the public version of it. It's so that we can spend the evening doing interviews. And we've already hired an assistant principal for Valley View Community School, and tonight we intend, probably more than likely, based on the committee results, in hiring a principal and assistant principal at Henry Wilson. I would actually say the process under Mr. Netto, and I've kind of stayed out of it to this point, has been more inclusive than it probably ever has been. She had a wide variety of people help with that.
Yeah, it was great. Thursday night, actually, two of our panelists are here tonight. Thursday night, we had a group of principal candidates come in. They had an opportunity to meet with community members, a parent, student, a couple parents actually, did an interview there first, and then switched gears and went over to another room and interviewed with board members and staff, including an occupational therapist, guidance counselor, teachers, paraeducator, and then Penny Warren was there from our school board. And then we all got together as a group and discussed what we found attractive about each of the candidates and who are the people that we wanted to bring forward, and we will be interviewing those individuals tonight. Assistant principal was a little bit different. It was a group of individuals from the school, so myself, office personnel, librarian, teachers were also there to do the interviewing for the assistant principal, and we are bringing people forward tonight to do their final interview before the board.
My question is, are you going to make it a priority, though, to make sure that the two people you hire are going to be on the same page
You
and be
bet.
able to work together?
You bet.
I find that very important.
We do too. We do too, yes. And in terms of, I think, when we were looking at the candidates and as we were just talking with them, one of the big questions was ability to collaborate. And, what we thought each candidate brought, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because we've got two of our panelists sitting out there, the kind of the presentation and the demeanor of the people, and in addition to the examples that they brought to us about how they were able to build collaboration in their previous positions. So we were really honing in on that skill as well.
Okay. I just have one more question. I know it was brought up a month or two ago. There was a problem with the security camera system at Henry Wilson near the end of the year when there was an incident. I know that there was something wrong with
So
it.
I
That
can
it wasn't
explain-
able to be remotely. I just want to make sure that was fixed
Sure.
and will be in working order.
Yeah, it actually wasn't broken. It was simply the fact that the principal at the time could not access the camera that she typically uses to look at that particular camera. She couldn't access her computer to do that. There's a server down the hall that certainly also has access to that particular camera. So it wasn't that the camera was broken, it was simply that the access point that she typically goes to was not available. She could have walked down the hall and gone to the
But
server
was there a
room.
particular issue that caused that?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, I remember there was a wire in the server room that was hanging from the ceiling, and nobody really knew what that wire was from. And I guess they had been using this kind of like this jerry-rig system to get the cameras to the principal's office, but Jen Loudon discovered that wire, and she can
Was
probably
not
speak to it more than I can, but that was what it was supposed to have been going on, and it had been chewed by rodents. So they had to rerun the wire, and then once they did that, all of a sudden the connectivity came back. And that's my in a nutshell, and I'm not techie, so
Did we get rid of
I know there were rodents involved.
Larry wants to make a comment.
Larry, if you can just get to the mic here, just so folks
I
at
could have
home.
screwed that up.
Yeah, a little, just a little.
Okay.
I don't think it was a rodent that it chewed. It was the connection going to her computer screen in the office when they had moved a bookcase or something
Had
around. They
crimped it,
crimped
yeah.
the wire.
Oh, okay.
There.
All right, so no
I was going to
rodents.
say, now we have another issue.
So going forward, the system is going to be able to be accessed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're actually already planning improvements in regards to security and all of the infrastructure related to that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
Other members of the public? Mr. Henry?
Wasn't planning to say anything, but Stephen Henry, I was on the committee, the public side of the committee that interviewed candidates for principal at Henry Wilson. I still have one student at Henry Wilson and one that's going up to the high school now. I didn't feel rushed in any way in the process. I thought we were presented candidates with appropriate credentials and resumes, and I was comfortable with how the process went, and I think we're going to get a good result out of it. So, if that helps you feel any better. And then on the vacated seat, I'm going to agree with Charlie. He was on the ballot. He did have a substantial number of votes. I think the voters spoke as to who should fill that seat next. So I would throw my support behind Charlie as well. Thank you.
Why don't we, I was going to actually bring that up under new business. I think the plan is, I've received 2 emails about the vacancy, the one from Mr. King, and another one was like another individual suggesting somebody else. It didn't come from the individual, and my response was this should probably come from the individual herself, of which I haven't heard anything. So we really, the only thing that we've done, and I'm the one who did it, was I contacted Kathy Seaver, because this is new water for me. I've never had that happen since I've been on the school board with somebody resigning while in office, just to see, do we have to follow a particular procedure? And she said, no, you just have to appoint someone. So we haven't really discussed it as a board yet, because it just happened at the end of our last public meeting where Mrs. Cardinal read her statement. But it would be my hope that we would just allow, and again, yeah, Mr. King makes a great argument as to why he should be on the board, but that's not necessarily the procedure that we have to follow. Is it a procedure that maybe makes sense? Yeah, maybe it does. But I think what I would say is we would encourage anyone who has an interest, just like any committee in town. I mean, again, the committees you don't run for, so it's a little different. If you want to send us an email, fine, and we'll listen to it. My only thing is, I did not want to make a decision tonight. I do want to make a decision soon, and the only reason why I don't want to make a decision tonight is because our other member is not here tonight. He had to be out of state. So it would be my hope that when Mr. Frieda returns, we make a decision at our next meeting, which would be August 3rd. Is that okay with you folks? Okay. So that's probably going to be the night that we make the decision. But if there's anybody else out there that has an interest, you certainly can send us an email and say you have an interest and why. At this point, it's just really Mr. King that has expressed that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I didn't expect you guys to appoint somebody tonight. I just wanted to make sure that as soon as I was made aware that if the seat was vacant, I want to make sure that you as a board knew that I was still interested in the position. And because you could have come to this meeting and had somebody contact you and said, oh, that sounds good, and not known that I was interested. So,
Right.
you know, I've been in similar situations where the board has had to reappoint somebody because somebody has left or vacated a position. So I'm sure you guys will make that decision at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
It's nice to have 5. Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go into approval of minutes then. Minutes of June 17th, non-public session 2. So moved by Mrs. Moran.
Second.
Second by Ms. McElhenney. Discussion on these? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes of June 17th, non-public session 3. So moved by Mrs. Moran.
Second.
Second by Ms. McElhenney. Discussion?
Just the spelling of my name.
Well, those are my minutes, aren't they?
No, they weren't. It was just one N and then D-E-N-I-T-T. Thanks.
That was on the last one, too.
Yeah, that's all right.
Anything else?
I'll fix those.
All those in favor as amended?
Aye.
And I'm going to abstain. I was not here for that particular session. June 25th, non-public session 3. I don't have that one. Sorry.
Do you want my copy?
He's going.
Thanks.
So moved. Second.
So moved by Mrs. Moran, second by Ms. McElhenney. Any discussion?
The only question I had, there's still a question mark on this?
It
Or
says don't have the name of the person. Is that the IP person one?
No, isn't that
The question mark is on that
Oh,
future.
Jana was going to check that number.
the number?
I didn't get a packet this time, so
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was out of the office most of the day.
No,
that's
at the
okay.
last meeting, I
This
wasn't
was
sure
the,
what the amount was.
Which one is this for?
Non-public session 3 of June 25th. Right?
yes.
You can show her this one. Oh, she's got it?
Yes. I can get that for you by the end of the meeting.
Okay, so motion to table.
I will second.
Motion by Mrs. Moore on the table, second by Ms. McElhenney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. July 8th, public session. So moved by Mrs. Moran.
Second.
Second by Ms. McElhenney. Discussion on these. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. July 8th, non-public session 1. So moved by
Second.
Mrs. Moran, second by Ms. McElhenney. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Non-public session 3 from July 8th.
Can I ask for 2?
2 was the one I think that you took, or because this is the one that we had Sherry step out of. I asked her already earlier.
Oh, okay.
So we will have
I
to.
guess you gotta get
I'm
those.
slacking in my duties. No, I think Anthony might have taken those.
Oh, yes.
Maybe.
I was
Mrs.
gonna say, I don't
Cardinal
remember
did.
taking minutes for this
Oh,
one.
yeah. Did we get any from Mrs. Cardinal?
Did not, I will get your mailer.
All right.
Diana, that is the correct
That's the correct number?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think I wrote that on something last time, but maybe I didn't forward it to you.
So the number is 13214.
Okay, do I have a
And 3
motion to
cents.
take non-public 1 off the table?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. McElhenney.
13214 and 3 cents.
Mrs. McElhenney motion to take it off the table, second by Mrs. Moran. All those in favor?
Aye.
And now motion to approve with that number, 13 what? 13?
$13,214.03. It's on
Okay.
the non-public session 3 in the area with a question mark.
Okay, I'll make that correction.
All those in favor as amended? Aye. Okay. All right. So non-public session 3 from July 8th.
So moved.
So moved by Ms. McElhenney,
Second.
second by Mrs. Moran. Discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Non-public session 4 from July 8th. So moved by Ms. McElhenney.
Second.
Oh, sorry, by Mrs. Moran, second by Ms. McElhenney. Discussion?
No.
All those in favor? Aye. Sorry. In non-public session 5 of July 8th. So moved by Mrs. Moran, second by Ms.
Second.
McElhenney. Discussion on these?
I don't have 5.
All those in favor?
Do you have 5 in your packet?
You don't have that?
I'm good now. Thank you.
Sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to actually abstain from these, and if you could just note, I really was absent for this one because I was participating by phone and lost service, so I wasn't available for that one.
Okay.
All right. New business.
We
Date.
had
Yep.
some old business that we had to finish, those policies as a final read.
We removed those from the agenda tonight,
Okay.
and those will be addressed on August 3rd.
Okay.
The day tank bid.
Mr. Gordon.
Mr. Gordon?
I like the, this is going on.
Well, Larry Gordon, Facilities Director. As we spoke a few meetings ago, the state has told us that day tanks are no longer viable as a underground tank storage component. They put it under a fire code. So we've been working with New Hampshire DES in replacing the day tank at Valley View. I gave you a quote, an initial quote from Siemens to replace it back then that was like $25,000. Went out to go to the bid process. I had contacted DB Tank Design, Dennis Bovier, to come up with a design for the tank that the state would approve so that we could go to bid and it would be apples to apples on the bid. We sent copies of the bid request forms to Siemens, American Tank Management, and Lakes Region Environmental. In the synopsis I've given you, Siemens contacted me at the end of the bidding process, said that because of time constraints that they weren't going to submit a bid. They also told me theirs would probably be a lot higher anyways. American Tank Management, they returned a bid based on the design system of $22,500. Lakes Region Environmental, their complete bid based on the tank design was $14,125. So I've contacted Chuck Corliss and Matt Jones at New Hampshire DES to make sure that everything was in line with what they're requiring. It was stated in the bid what we needed, what the requirements were. So with that said, I'd propose that the bid be awarded to Lakes Region Environmental.
Motion.
So moved to accept the bid from Lakes Region Environmental.
Motion by Mrs. Moore.
Second.
Second by Ms. Magdalene. Any discussion? I mean, it's kind of a significant difference. I mean,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah.
That,
I talked with both of them. Like I said, they both are going by the same design. I talked with Chuck Corliss at NHDES, and he confirmed that as long as they're doing it within the specs, and New Hampshire Lakes Region Environmental, they're approved to do their own inspection and testing, which would eliminate having to pay somebody from another company to come in and do it.
So you think that's the difference between the two prices?
No, because actually American Tank Management was doing their own inspection and stuff. It's just, I don't know, sometimes somebody, if it's...
Materials?
Yeah.
I don't know.
and do we know anything about Lakes Region Environmental? I mean, do we have...
They've been in business for 32 years. I know that they're certified to do inspections. He's worked with these type of systems before. I mean, American Tank Management does do our tank inspections and stuff, but...
And would this company be responsible here on out to do tank inspections?
No.
We'd
No.
still use American?
Jim? I was just going to say, I have worked with Lakes Region Environmental at a different district, not for this application. I didn't even know what a day tank was prior to, so I do know that they have done work. My only question, Larry, would be is, because there does seem to be such a discrepancy, we have gone through both of them to make sure that everything that's in one is in the other.
I had at the back of the Lakes Region environmental bid, I had him, contacted him after he sent the bid in, had him list all the scope of things that he was going to do to make sure they match up with what American Tank Management said they were going to do.
Yeah, Lakes Region seems very comprehensive. I don't get that same feel from the bid from American Tank Management.
Yeah, he gave a briefer description of what...
I mean, I'm going to take your word that they're apples to apples because I'm not really finding anything in regards to specs or anything from American Tank, but Lakes Region, it's very comprehensive. I'm definitely more comfortable with going with them.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Treasurer's report.
We also had the walk-in freezer and cooler.
Oh, I didn't see that.
However, what I'm going to ask you to do is to basically move not to accept the RFP, because at that time we thought we're not going to be able to get a grant for it, but we've since discovered we have a grant. So at this point, I would ask you to say we're not going to accept.
We just have to motion in the affirmative, but we can vote it down.
Correct.
Right. But just to be clear, we don't actually have the grant yet. We won't know until September if we do, but if we do, we would have the opportunity to replace both units in full, counting demolition and electrical and all of those things. And if we don't have the money in the budget to do that kind of scope, so we're looking at a repair job. So we're hoping that this will come
This is
through.
sort of a moot point then, this
Right.
whole bid.
We would go back out for
Yeah.
to bid at that point.
We do need to send a letter to the one person that responded and let them know after you make your decision why.
I will motion to accept the one bid that we received.
I will second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Wait,
We're
not
not
accepting it.
No, we're
Right.
voting no. All those in favor? Opposed? No.
Okay. Get a little nervous. I heard what you said, but I didn't.
All right, we got the treasurer's report here.
Thank you.
Actually, we have the treasurer here. Did you want to share how things are going in the position at all, or?
I'm still very new.
Okay, all right.
I'm still learning and
Well, let us officially say thank you, because we haven't really seen you since you accepted doing that, so thank you very much for doing it, so. Anything in particular to highlight on this, or?
No, just, Rachel's been very willing to work. I got the treasurer for the town of Alton, who does both the town and the school, to agree to come over and mentor with Rachel, and they've met together. Last week they met, and they kind of went through a sample bank reconciliation together. Her name is Jean Stone, and she's offered that if Rachel needs anything, that she can reach out, and she'd be happy to come and help and mentor her through the process. And I think there's a lot of value to that, because I can speak to the business side of what I do, but I've never been a treasurer, so I think it's nice to have somebody that has that experience that can help Rachel. So
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. It's not on the agenda, but we're supposed to have another, oh, it is down there, it's just down underneath.
Way down, sorry.
Anything else from the board? Any other public participation at this time? No? Okay. Brief meeting tonight, folks, because we need to go and just do some interviews and get some quality leadership here in our schools. So our next meeting will be August 3rd, unless we have to meet prior to that for hiring or something of that nature, right here at 6:30 at the high school. I will thank you to those of you joining us from home and those of you who came out this evening. I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public session 2, 91A:3, 2A and B for personnel. So moved by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. McElhenney. All those in favor by roll? Aye. Good night. Did we tell them 7:30?